Hello and welcome to the Aura podcast with your girl, Kubi Springer. As you can see, we are back on the couch, just me and you, learning from some of our guests from season 1, season 2, and giving you a sneak peek into what's coming up in season 3. Now, last week, I was giving you some tips around building your personal brand, and we watched some of the clips around some of the biggest leaders in this world have built their personal brand. We finished the episode with Adeyemi. Now, I know, a little bit controversial, and I've been watching your comments, and I want to just ask you this question. Ladies, did you throw your stilettos at the screen? Let me know. If you haven't already watched last week's, watch it, and then tell me what you think about the advice that was given, and whether or not you have any additional solutions that you can give to the community. This week, we're going to be carrying on the conversation about how you build a personal brand. We're going to continue to watch some of our guests, but we're going to lean into your aura. No pun intended, being that we are at Aura, but your aura is the thing that people meet before you even speak. So get your iPad and your iPhone and your all manner of eye, because it's time to learn. So let's get into it. So, when you think about building your personal brand, oftentimes people lean into all the strategies and the marketing tactics. And whilst those things are imperative, one of the things that I don't think people talk enough about is your aura, your energy, how people receive you energetically, emotionally, before you even open your mouth. It's really interesting for me that I sat down with Eric. Now, Eric is somebody who is today a supermodel, but he started off as a homeless man here in Dubai. I don't know if we talk about when Eric talked about how it was that he managed to get back up. What that screamed to me is that even when he was at his lowest, he didn't allow his failures to define him. In fact, he used it as fuel to refuel him to the next. Let's take a look.
COVID happened. What was that moment when you realized you were homeless?
Well, it was very clear because I was living in an apartment where there were like 20 people. Wow. And in the room where I was staying, there was like 10 small beds, and we were all living inside. And a morning, the landlord wake up and he say he's going to close the flat. So everybody has to leave the flat.
No way.
So it was very clear that I didn't have where to go, and I didn't even have money anymore. So
you lost your job and he kicked everybody out of the apartment. I want to pause here for a moment because so many people come to Dubai with a dream. When you look at Instagram, you see the glitz and the glamour, you see the ones who have made it. When you were sleeping on Kite Beach, when you were sleeping on the stairs of the apartment building that you were in, what was your mindset at that point?
I think at that point, my mindset was like, okay, now I need to find any money to book a flight ticket and go home.
Right.
Because I didn't, I was clearly done. Yeah. So that was.
And are you a believer? Is faith something that's important to you?
Actually, before, no. But then at some point, because I had no one to turn into, and my mom always told me, when you have no one to turn into God. So I remember one night, because I was so desperate, so I just started to speak to the sky, and I was like, God, this is what I want in life. If you give me that, I basically that night made a pact with God. So if you give me everything that I want, then I will worship your name. But if you don't give me, then you lost me as a son.
Wow.
5 years later, he gave me everything I asked and more.
That pretty smile ended up on a billboard. Who noticed the cuteness of Eric first?
Okay.
You weren't expecting me to say that now, was you?
So I think it was from Instagram because I was being a lot active on Instagram.
Active doing what?
Fitness.
Okay.
So it started with fitness brand, like a shop like Sun and Sense Paul will contact me like, oh, we like your profile, I want to shoot some stuff with you, and then we put it on the store, on the website, and I was like, okay, cool. Yeah. And I started to doing that. And then I also started to register to modeling agency here because I was like, okay, they contact me a lot on social media. Let me actually register to modeling agency. Then I registered to all the modeling agency, putting my picture everywhere. And then they just start to call me one by one. Before I knew, they called me for a shoot for Emirates. And
Look at that.
Yeah.
When you went there, did you just say, you know, you rejected me? Did you do it? No? Well, humble's good. Humble's good.
I absolutely love Eric's story. And if you haven't watched this entire episode, you should go back and watch it from season 1. Not only do you need to think about your energy and your aura, but you also need to think about your words. I touched on this last week, but the person who speaks about this the best is Marisa Peer. Marisa Peer is one of the world's most famous and sought after therapists. In fact, she was my YouTube therapist all the way through lockdown. And I had the pleasure of sitting down with Marisa, where she talked about the I am enough philosophy that she has created. She is the woman that really hones in to you and I how imperative it is for us to master our language and our words. Because as I said last week, words are spells. That's why it's called spelling. But enough of me talking about it. Let's hear what Marisa has to say about the power of your words and owning that you are enough.
It kind of works like this. Your thoughts create your feelings, and your feelings create your behaviors. And we're so busy trying to change our actions, but you've got to go back and change the thinking. I'm worthy, I'm enough, I'm lovable, I matter, over and over again. And for some people it happens within a week, and for others they say, no, it was a year. We all change differently, but it doesn't matter. You're changing from the minute you do it. You may not notice the change. And of course, you've been through a lot of pain. Rejection is our core fear. We're all terrified of being rejected. All these songs are, no one loves me, I'm on my own, you're the only one for me. And the media makes us believe we're fragile, because years ago rejection would kill you, but now it doesn't kill you. So it just took you a while, but you got there. I love this expression, doesn't matter how long it takes to climb a mountain, when you get to the top, the view is the same for everyone.
Absolutely.
And you got to the top.
I got to the top. There's a saying I posted on Instagram, I think it was yesterday, and I believe it came from you originally, and it is, the journey is the destination.
Yeah.
And I really believe that, because I think we never get there. We're always journeying, aren't we?
Exactly. There's no destination called happiness. I'm going over there. There's the terminal. Happiness is an inside job. And you've got to say, I'm happy now. My kid's a baby. I'm up all night. I'm happy now. If you're going to happiness, you'll never get there. Happiness is now. And if you want to be unhappy, try to be perfect. You'll be the loneliest, unhappiest person in the world. Because the truth is, I'm a flawed person, and so are you. We can have a beautiful, flawed relationship. It's called being flawsome. So be flawsome, but don't try to be perfect. There's no happiness there.
Be flawsome.
Yeah, I'm flawed, my husband's flawed, my kid's flawed. We have a flawsome relationship. Because if you can say, gosh, you love me with my flaws, if you can say you love me because I'm perfect, but I'm not, so I'm going to have to keep playing that part. But happiness is an inside job. You've got to choose it. I'm choosing to be happy right now with everything going on. If you can just say, I choose happiness, your brain picks it, and then you start to go, oh, my first cup of coffee makes me happy. Getting into clean sheets makes me happy. Having a shower makes me happy. But if you're saying, I'll be happy when never comes. So choose happiness, find it in the simplest things. Because if you look to them and say, what makes you happy? They go, hearing my kid laugh, having my first cup of tea. They never say flying first class to Santorini. It's the simple things. And the biggest thing is our relationship with people. That will make you happy.
Absolutely. And that happiness is a choice, which I'm a big subscriber of. It's always a choice. And every day we're making those choices, aren't we? Yeah.
And the same thing with connection. People say, I'm alone. I'm like, look, if you're not choosing connection, you're choosing disconnection. You have to choose it. I can find people wherever I am in the world. Choose happiness. Choose to believe you're enough. And choose to find connection.
It sounds so simple, and I am sure there's going to be somebody that's listening going, well, that's easy for you, or that sounds simple. But that language in and of itself is part of the blocker, isn't it?
We see people say that, leopard can't change his spots. Change is really hard work. Being married is so hard. Having a kid is so hard, and that's not true. But if you say it, you'll make it true, because your mind... Its job is to make your thoughts real. If you think a sad thought, your eyes fill up with tears. Think of something embarrassing, go bright red. So it isn't hard to change your thoughts. And when you say I'm enough, the power is actually in the strength the simplicity and indeed the honesty. If you say, I'm a millionaire goddess, you go, well, I'm not really, am I? Because I live in this horrible apartment. So when we say things like, I'm a rock star, I'm a superstar, the brain goes, no, you're not. But when you say I'm enough, it goes, of course you are. Yeah. You're always happy and you always will be. So you want to make statements that sink in. And I'm enough is the most powerful statement you can ever make, because your mind won't, and even if it did reject it, if you say it enough, it goes, oh, here you go again with that enoughness. You say it so much, it must be true. And now it's going to sink in like butter on warm toast and nourish you from the inside out.
It is nourishing. Even the words, I am enough. It's nourishing to the soul. I told you she was good, right? Oof, love Marisa. All right, so let's recap for a second. Building your personal brand. In the first episode, we talked about strategy, mission, vision. We talked about values. In this one, we're talking about your aura, your mindset, your words. And now I want to go to resilience. Resilience is something that you just cannot become a success if you do not have it. There were multiple guests that I have sat down with who have talked about resilience. But one that stood out to me probably the most is the beautiful man over at Bioniq. Bioniq, if you don't know, is a personalized supplement. And the founder of Bioniq started off as a basketball player, got an injury, and went from the basketball court to the boardroom. But the $1 million question is, how did he do that? He did it through resilience. Let's take a look.
There's the first time you tear it, you don't believe it. You think it's a freak accident. The second time you tear it, you feel like, why me? And it becomes really hard. And then the more it happens, the more you question yourself, and psychologically becomes really, really difficult. And there's even a point where I started working with sports psychologists, where it feels almost like you want to get hurt again, just so you can go back to questioning and to really call it ends. So it's a real psychological thing. I fully agree with you. It's so difficult for people to understand how hard rehabs is, because you're alone in this journey for 6 months. There's no teammates, there's no training, there's no fans, there's nothing. They're just you and that injury. And coming out of it, of course, I mean, for me, when I take away from today, it gives me a lot of discipline, but also exposed me to health optimization and medical, just the innovations in medical very, very early. So I'm very, very grateful for that experience back then. But again, when you're in that moment, it's one of the darkest places.
It is. I was in rehabbing my knee for 6 months, and it's lonely, huh?
Yes.
Yeah, it is.
Now imagine doing that 4 times.
Oh, no, I can't. I can't. So in those moments, I would assume this honing in on health, honing in on your body was the beginning, the foundation of what we have today.
Correct. Because I realized back then that what it takes to optimize what the body needs and why injuries happen in the first place. It's not just preparation, it's also what's inside of your body, how you treat it. And again, you only have one body. The thing people forget the whole time, you have all those things that you pay so much attention to, your phones, your cars, the electronics in your life, but the body is just one. And you can't just switch it every 2-3 years. You have to actually invest in it. And one of the parts why I started what I'm doing today is because I understood the importance of it, and I understood that the whole checkups that we do or the updates that we do, we should focus first on our body before we're doing anything with anything that we can buy and throw away.
When you first started to think about Bioniq, did you see it as a business that you wanted to run, or was it just a personal obsession?
Completely a personal obsession. I think most founders will tell you that there's a scratch your own itch situation where you're in a situation where you want a product and you want to buy it and you are so surprised that it doesn't exist. So in my situation was the following. I was around 32 back then. I was feeling sluggish. I was feeling brain fog. I felt symptoms that I didn't want to feel in terms of just energy levels. So I went to a traditional doctor and told him about my symptoms. And the doctor, after asking me to do a blood test, looked at my blood test and said to me, everything is fine with you. And when I asked, what do you mean? He's like, you're in the normal ranges everywhere. And I'm like, but I still have all my symptoms. And when he told me, listen, if you would be somewhere off, I can prescribe you something, but there's nothing you're off on, so I can't prescribe you anything. I realized traditional medicine is very, very reactive. Once you're ill, we'll treat you. I want something proactive. And what I wanted personalized solutions for my symptoms based on my needs and goals.
I absolutely love his story because, like I told you last week, I too went through my own resilience stage. In fact, you know what? All of us do. Put in the comment, what was the thing that you needed to get back up from, and how did you do it? I really want you commenting this season because it helps everybody in the community to not just watch this podcast, but to learn from it and to level up to new heights of success. So you need to have, of course, your mission, your vision, your values. You need to look at your mindset. You need to be clear on your aura. You need to master your words. You need to have a laser focus. Your laser focus is about you saying every single day, this is my vision, and no matter what happens, I am going to be winning. Even when I lose, it's not really a loss. It's just a lesson. And if we're learning, it means that we are victorious and not victims. The person that owns this exceptionally well is the founder of Humantra. He had lost the business before he started this successful business. In fact, let me stop talking. Let's have a little listen about what he has to say about his journey.
It's really tough. I think when younger Charlie used to be incredibly emotional, would react immediately. But I think age and probably having been through my fair share of shit over the last few years, you begin to callous yourself slightly to these sorts of things, and you kind of expect it. And I think that, you know, challenge brings growth. We embrace it as a business. I also think that for me, challenge opens your eyes up to a different perspective. And I think if you just have your own perspective in life, then you're always going to be, I think, challenged. And if you're not willing to be malleable and be able to shift your perspective, you're going to get in trouble. And so with the team, it's very much like, we'll embrace it, bring it on. Like ultimately, if we've missed something and it comes from another perspective, well, then we're going to go and do it. We'll double down and lean into that. So I think just challenges. I mean, look, you can go and have an easy life and sit on a beach and not focus, face any challenge. But to me, like, that's pointless.
It's not growing.
No, and I think, look, everyone's searching for growth or they lean into these words. But for us, it's like, we just want to be challenged every day. I've got an incredibly young and motivated, high potential team. I want to get the most out of them. And so it's just the challenges allow us to grow as people. And so like we embrace it. We walk head on into challenges, and it makes us better as a business and as an organization and as people.
Okay, so I want to wrap this episode by starting with two people who I kicked off the entire Aura podcast with, and that is Dean and Ilana. Why am I starting with them? Because I have never met a person who dreams as big as Dean and Ilana. When you just look at this place here, Aura Skypool, the imagination that you have to think about building a swimming pool 360 degrees around the building, 200 meters above the sea level on the 50th floor. I mean, you gotta be pretty bonkers in your dreaming. And that is something that you need to think about when you are building a personal brand. Your dream needs to be pretty bonkers. In fact, if it doesn't scare you, my friend, you are not dreaming big enough. Your dream needs to be a little bit delulu. Your dream needs to be so big that when you tell people, it scares them. And you know that you and the God on the inside of you are going to do it because it is your mission and it is your vision. And it doesn't matter what the haters say. You are going to work hard, stay focused with strategy, intentionality, and build this delulu dream. When I sat down with Dean and Ilana, they talked about the incremental structures that were needed to build this dream. I want you to watch this episode, just a little sneak peek, and I want you to just hear what they say about how they built a infinity pool wrapped around the building on the 50th floor. Go ahead, let's have a look.
It was before COVID when the whole construction started. I remember us being here with our yellow hard hats, going around and checking. And so we were part of this project from the very, very, very beginning. Then due to COVID, things had to slow down and eventually stop. But after that, we were giving the green light. Everything went like full force. And so it was very, very nice to see it from just a construction site to become this.
And when it was a construction site, was the architects kind of showing you what they were doing? Was you like in the midst of it? Like, what was that like?
Yeah, absolutely. It's very cool to see the venue come to life. You know?
From a render to, yeah.
Absolutely. And you're standing there, and initially when we came, of course, the pool wasn't here. Inside was just, I mean, you could see straight through. There was literally nothing here. I always remember 1st of November 2021 was the first time we turned the tap on. And one of the water inlets down here, you suddenly saw the first sort of drops come out, and then all the water sort of started flowing in. So it's a bit of a exciting, iconic moment.
And Dean, how long does it take to actually clean the pool? Like, what does that look like from an operation standpoint?
Well, it's not about how long, because it's a consistent job. So we have a team of 6 dedicated technicians that are just focused on constant cleaning. It's a 24-hour operation behind the scenes, of course, and then while the venue is closed overnight in the pool. But yeah, 1.2 million liters pumping around the building sort of 24/7. It's a huge operation.
Kind of crazy, huh? Well, it's here. I'm sitting on it. The manifestations of someone's Delulu dream, I am now sitting on. Who is going to be sitting on your dream? Who is going to be leveling up because of your dream? Who is going to be benefiting from your Delulu mindset? Who is going to benefit and glean from you? Ultimately, building a personal brand is not about you. It is about the people who are impacted by what you do. I am being impacted by the dream of the Aura team. And so I want to leave this with you today and encourage you to keep dreaming, because the dream that you have has been given to you, but my friend, it is not for you. It's about legacy, it's about impact, and it's about others. So even on those days where you want to give up, remember there is a tribe that are waiting for you to show up. There is someone at the end of your gifts and talents who need you to solve the problem that they have. So solve it without apology. Until next time, I can't wait to see you. Bye, guys.
This podcast was hosted by brand marketing expert Kubi Springer and produced by Avant Garde Brand Experiences and Aura Skypool.